may be kids' books, but we discuss dark themes and mature content. There may also be some explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
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 I feel like you're... I'm not going to lie. I feel like you're all phoning it in right now.
I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't have a phone. No.
I feel like I'm calling to start this episode, and instead of getting my best friend Jake, I got Tom, his yerked older brother.
Right.
You've
Bring
read
your
book
dad
10,
to
which you haven't yet.
The share.
Yeah.
Bring your dad to nap
bring
time.
your dad to
Can it be nap
the
time?
Share Fest. What do they call it? Share Fest?
Yeah, share fest.
It's where everybody. It's Night of 1,000 Shares.
No,
That's what
it's
it
like
is.
everybody dresses as Cher and does their best Cher impression.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we are this is a minisode. That's a really dumb
book
thing
9
to
was
say.
crazy.
That's a really dumb thing to say.
We just
Holy
finished reading
shit,
book
you
9.
guys.
Just this exact
just finished
minute. Just finished. book
Yeah,
nine.
it was pretty unhinged. It was like, it's weird. We all just ended up in the Zoom call. Book 9 was pretty lit.
It was a good book.
Yeah.
It's ending. So, before I'll make it canon, we're looking for drink recipes for the Stinky Visser. My thought was it could be a drink that's supposed to have tomato juice in it, but instead you substituting grape juice, like a Bloody Mary, but with grape juice.
Say we're releasing our own line of Animorphs themed cocktails, canned cocktails.
Right.
Yeah.
Canned cocktails. I like because
Canned
then we can
cocktails.
do the Skunk Mother IPA in the same distribution.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We have the Stinky Visser.
Pre-mixed, yeah.
Our
Our logo on the can.
Yeah.
How do
God, it would be a good beer bottle. Our logo would be a good beer bottle.
Yeah.
So we've got Stinky Visser, we've got Skunk Mother IPA, we've got Slow Smile, Jake's Slow Smile,
Which has slow gin in it.
Yep.
And then something with a yerk pool, but I like, or cavorting.
How do gummy worms hold up and just floating in that drink, though? That's what we have to
Whoa,
figure.
guys, what about Andalite technology on the beach?
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
I think a drink called Ciro's Kindness is also
Yes.
pretty good
That's
too.
not bad.
Hi, I'd like a Ciro's Kindness.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's how I'd order it.
What are like a metropolitan, cosmopolitan, what?
Yeah. Eggs Tower.
The
and it
Eggs
has egg white in
Tower,
it.
yeah.
The Eggs Tower, and it's very tall.
We need a Marco themed one. Big sexy, the BSN.
Big sexy cocktail.
Big sexy news on the beach.
Big sexy news on the beach.
Yeah. We'll just have a variety of
They
those.
should all just be on the beach.
Yeah.
It should be, or like, and you know what? Maybe all of them, the recipe is just a tequila sundae.
Yes, I was going to say.
With food coloring.
The food coloring.
It's a different color every time.
This tastes a lot like a Big Sexy News on the Beach, but I think it's a Stinky Visser.
Yeah.
So, in other news, we have one new 5-star review, so we are obligated to read it. And this...
Well, let's just say we have new reviews. We don't have to say how many we have.
They're going to know when we only read one.
It just sounds better.
Do you know that there's like a story that Peter Falk used to tell about how the Romanian government asked him to verify that there were no new episodes of Columbo that the Romanian government were withholding from their people?
Yeah.
If we hold back this review, Eddie, if we don't put them out as soon as we get them, I mean, there will be riots.
In the streets, no less.
In the streets of Romania. We're huge in Romania. We're looking for more English.
We're trying to still break into the
5-star
Australian market. We want to be the biggest.
That's really
We
it.
thought that's what it was going to be, but
Yeah. We thought this would play well in Australia, mate.
maybe we don't say the
Right?
C word enough.
That's probably definitely true. Ugh.
I'd be willing to do it, y'all, but my mom listens.
Oh man. Well, let's read this review. Here we go. This is back on May 4th. It's from a user named Grrr, and it is titled Book 1 through 7 Review. Hey all, I thoroughly enjoyed listening to our commentary on these books. Makes me want to be a part of it, lol. But anyway, I'm currently listening to the recap episode of books 1 through 7, and there was a comment of Axe not having his why I fight moment. But I disagree. His why I fight moment occurs in book 4, when he finds out that Visser 3 killed his brother. Just wanted to leave this little comment. You guys are amazing and keep putting out great content. Thank you so much, girl.
Thank you, girl.
Thank you.
And I will say,
you.
you are totally right that Axe does have sort of like an on-screen why I fight moment, but it's not through his narration,
Yes.
which I think is why we weren't hitting it as hard.
Yeah. I do think I agree with you, Miranda. I think we get the answer to the question, but we don't get his narration and his thoughts. And usually the whole book kind of, on some level, I think it kind of reflects their journey of figuring out why they fight.
And even just like the first 4 books that we have Axe before we get his narration, like Megamorphs included, he's so guarded.
Yeah.
But as much as he is like, I fight for Prince Jake, because I guess he does literally declare why he's fighting and that he's fighting in book 4.
Yeah. But I guess it's like maybe why I fight was used too loosely, because it's not so much why I fight so much as it's, is he going to fight? Like, he had to like remove a huge block within him to start sharing information.
Oh, yeah, in book 8,
and to decide with the Animorphs. And I feel like for example, on Star Trek, there are all these great Worf episodes where he has to go home and be yelled at by his traditional Klingon community for being a human lover.
Yep.
And we all know why Worf fights, but we don't know how he reconciles that with like his broader context.
Yeah.
And so I don't think we were going to fully appreciate his why I fight moment until we got that Andalite context from his narration of like, not because it was not only is he killing Mr. 3 because he killed his brother. That's not just something he like wants to do. That's something he is like obligated to do. And that's a whole different.
It is a whole different thing.
Yeah. And we kind of get why he's fighting the Yeerks for the humans, like why he's fighting alongside the Animorphs.
Yeah.
Not to mention the big reveal of which pants legs he puts on first when he's getting dressed in the morning was a big deal.
And when he says, "This is why I
left.
fight," as he does it. So.
Well, thank you so much for the review, Gareth. Please keep listening and tell your friends to leave us reviews, and we'll
and then make burner accounts to leave reviews. And
yeah, please. Every time we do an episode, leave all your critiques through a new review from a new account. Pretty please, that'd be amazing.
You know, I've heard you can buy reviews, but that would be unethical and immoral. But does anybody even know how you would do that?
And if someone wanted to ask us a question through some means other than leaving a review, do we have a way of contacting us?
I went down to the post office the other day and the P.O. box was empty. Oh. But when I got home, I got a notification about a new email. Oh. And so, yeah, you can email us at AnidorksPod@gmail.com.
That's correct.
And we have one new email. We have You've Got Mail. Remember? Hey guys.
I'm Tom Hanks.
Remember AOL?
Yeah.
Did you have AOL, Eddie?
I did have AOL. I had Instant Messenger at least. I don't.
Yeah,
Did you ever do keywords? Did you ever type in a keyword?
No.
I
had an away message.
Yes. A buddy profile.
Yeah.
We have I had AIM. I also had, I'm going to say it right, MSN. I had an MSN.
I got MSN way later. Someone I knew had MSN and was like, "Do you have MSN Messenger?" And I was like, "No, I have AIM." And they were like, "Get MSN Messenger. It's free." Oh, and then for a while we did Game, or Gay I Am, as we called it.
Nice.
I had that.
What was the G in that? It had like
GNU?
a little
GNU? I don't know.
It had like a little penguin. I think it was a Linux thing.
Oh, wasn't that? Oh yeah. Game was just, it was an AIM client. Yeah, it was called like Pigeon, formerly named Game. Yeah, and it was just a open source AIM client. Yeah. It's pretty cool. All right. So, let's get on with this email.
Are we popcorning it?
Could each take a paragraph.
Yeah, I'll do first too, because there's a little one. Hey, Anna Cool Kids. Really enjoyed your episodes on Book 8. I'm glad that you already have a lot to say about the series. In particular, I really like...
Feels like one of those two-sided compliments. It's like...
So much that we have to break each book up into 4 episodes. In particular, I really like the discussion you guys had when Axe was visiting Cassie and her family. For one thing, I really like how the all kids have different family dynamics. Cassie is an only child, very close with her parents, both of whom are great. She has the healthiest and most stable home life. Jake normally would too, if not for Tom. And I think that's a big part of where she gets her emotional intuition and maturity. And as the books go on, I think it fleshes out the other kids' families more and gives good defining moments with them.
Another thing that's interesting about the books is how often the authors will use the perspective of the character you are in to change how the other characters come across. Like with Axe, especially because the Animorphs aren't as good at reading his emotions yet, but he comes off as more detached or colder in the other kids' POVs. But when you are inside his head, you see how deeply he thinks and feels about things, and how much of what he tries to present to the world is him trying to act like the Andalite warrior he thinks he has to be, as well as trying to live up to his brother's legacy.
Which brings me to my first question. Elfangor is viewed as a perfect prince in the many eyes of Andalite society, though we have already seen that Elfangor was willing to break one of their most important laws. How do you think the story will explore Elfangor's character in the future? Beyond breaking Ciro's kindness, do you think he fit into the role of prince as well as it seems?
I also wanted to discuss the end of Book 8, or more specifically, Axe's choice to not kill Aloran, Visser 3's host body. You mentioned being a bit confused by this choice, and while I think that's a totally fair criticism, I do have other thoughts about it.
To begin with, there's the out-of-universe fact that they probably couldn't get away with one of the kids outright killing someone so blatantly. That's fair. They get away with a lot in this series, but that would probably be perceived as crossing the line. So I don't think they were allowed to have Axe actually kill him.
But from an in-universe perspective, I honestly get it too. As you talked about, Axe is just a kid, one with less real experience than the other Animorphs, despite his training. Hard to be too upset with the equivalent of a 13 or 14-year-old finding themselves unable to kill someone. However, I think it also has a lot to do with other aspects of Axe's character. We have already seen him trying to fit into a mold of an Andalite warrior cadet, brother of the great Prince Elfangor, and this includes taking on the heavy task of avenging his death. So he prepares himself to do it, because it's his duty. And after all, he is killing the abomination that murdered his brother. He has no qualms about that. But then he gets there, and in the time it takes to morph, realizes that it is not in fact Visser 3 who he would have to kill, but rather Visser 3's victim. It was easy to rationalize killing the Visser in an Andalite body. Faced with the actuality of killing what is in this instance, an innocent victim is much, much harder. Especially as leaving him alive gives the possibility that he could be rescued. Whether that possibility is worth the damage he will do is of course a factor, but I think it makes sense that the hope of maybe saving him feels right to a kid like Axe. Even if, logically speaking, killing Aloran would have been the right thing, Axe isn't ready to do that. Question is, how will that change as the series goes on? This is only his first book, after all. Narratively, I think that makes for potentially interesting possibilities.
None of which means that there aren't issues with how it's written. The other kids kinda don't seem to exist at that moment, even though they're right there. And that can definitely be a problem in the books sometimes. Overall, it balances its characters well, but I think the reality is that they often didn't have time to explore every aspect they probably would have liked to. Not only did they have to write these books once every month, but Kay Applegate and Michael Grant were parents at this time too.
Oh, wow.
And had to balance that plus writing for other series in order to make ends meet. In Reddit AMAs, they have been very frank about how quickly they had to write and how it left little time to plan too far ahead, especially since they also had to do a lot of animal research in the writing process for Animorphs. Honestly, with all of these factors, it's kind of remarkable that the series is as good as it is, and I think it manages to be really great on the whole.
So should we stop and talk about the content of that thing first before moving on? Because it looks like the rest of it is kind of an aside.
So how do you think the story will explore Elfangor's character in the future with in regards to being a perfect prince and having broken Ciro's kindness? And how much of a perfect prince was he to begin with? And I don't know. It sounds like not so perfect.
Yeah.
Even even maybe in the army's eyes, it seems like the army, it seems like the Andalite Society is really big on building up heroes, and so is willing to downplay things in order to keep the public image of someone very good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think my guess, just because what we've already had in 9 books, is that he's going to become less of like this mythic character and more of a human character.
So to speak.
Yes. Sorry. Multi-dimensional. Look at my bias.
Yeah. Eddie, your bias is showing.
I don't know. I don't think that that's true. I feel like it's been hinted that we're going to get a bunch of information about the information dump that Tobias got from Elfangor.
Maybe one day, yeah.
Maybe someday. But then I don't see him becoming more human in particular, or more relatable.
Yeah.
In particular, but I could see there being a plot point with there being tension between Axe and his culture because of the fact that they are like continuing to build him up to be this like hero, rather than like I could see Axe having trouble identifying with his homeland because he knows the truth.
I think based on the vibes that the book has been giving me, we're going to find out what made Elfangor the kind of person who would break Zero's kindness.
Yes. Yeah.
Like his coke addiction.
Yeah.
Something like that. Or if, I don't know, maybe a wily Elemis tipped him off. I don't know. A little bird told him. But like...
It could be an Elemis meddling even more. That would be crazy.
But like, why was he so certain immediately? He called those kids there and gave them that thing. I mean, we feel that way very strongly, especially with the way it was interpreted in the TV show. If like you go with that, it was very clear. And so like, what made him so sure that was the right thing to do? There has to have been some reason. And I think we're going to get at least a side view of that reason. I'm not saying we're going to get like an Elfangor book, but we're going to find something that hints at why he made the decision he made.
Yeah.
It'd be so cool if we got an Elfangor book. That would be dope. If that happens, then I'll eat my words.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't happen, I'm guessing I'm correct.
Yeah. I think even if it's just another character who knew him and was, and maybe even if it doesn't contradict what we've learned from someone else about him, maybe we just see this side of him we haven't seen before. That's my guess. And I think that going off what you said, Miranda, I think it feels like it's not chance that those 5 kids ran into Elfangor in the construction yard. And so I think we're going to, I don't think anything we're reading seems to like, it was just a random act. I don't think anything hints to that. I think it feels like this happened for some kind of reason, even if it was, like you said, the Elemist interfering. And we just don't know what that is.
But it definitely wasn't their intention to lose that battle.
No.
That's true.
No.
Right?
Yes.
So so we're talking like he called an audible and was like, oh, it didn't work with the Yerks, but it definitely didn't work to do the other thing with the Hork-Bajir. So maybe it's time to try the other pendulum swing.
Yeah. And that's sort of what I mean. But I think we're going to get a clearer picture of that decision.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And what maybe he knew as a person who worked directly under the guy who served in the Hork-Bajir stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Beyond breaking Zero's kindness, do you think he fit into the role of prince as well as it seems? So to that, I think we already kind of touched on this, but is your read that, because I think the obvious thing is that Axe's journey of becoming more and more allied with the humans and seeing things from their perspective, I kind of feels like, do you think Elfangor had the same experience? Do you think, or it was a different angle?
I don't think so. I feel like, I mean, maybe we'll find out that in another part of the battle, he like had some exposure. I just definitely not with
humans, maybe with a different species.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're saying like maybe he went to another planet that was being attacked and had his own sort of like trying to be the guy who said no to the Hork-Bajir. And
I guess there's
feels
like
bad about it. That could be.
There's the thing about like Gandalf being friends of the hobbitses. But like, you know, it's like he maybe, something, or maybe he had some like human thing going on. I don't know.
There's a book I read in like 5th grade that I never finished that I was really sad about not finishing, but I think I had to give it back to the library or something, and then I changed schools.
All right.
Anyway, it was called The Enchantress, and it was about a woman who was like a linguist trying to get a model language from the inferior race of aliens of like the species that they had landed on the planet of or something, and everything she had to do to try to get him to talk looked like magic, and so she pretended to be a wizard essentially.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, maybe you know, Elfangor had some planet that he was just the crazy wizard guy who came to.
Yeah. That seemed, I could believe that.
Yeah, I'm so much more inclined to just see him as a like plugged into Andalite culture.
No,
like,
that's
I feel
totally
like
fair.
If he's a hero, like maybe some part of his background isn't accounted for, but like it would feel weird if they actually found a secret to reveal about him.
No,
But
I don't think
something
that
had
we
to
didn't
make
already know.
him want to not be a perfect Andalite in that moment
Yeah.
when he broke Ciro's kindness.
Yeah. But I hope
Something.
Oh, maybe.
I hope what we get about him is that he was like a more messy and complicated figure than...
Even if it was like a recent development, even if
Yeah.
they're like he had recently had an experience that changed his mind or something, that's more complicated than, I don't know, I just fucking did it.
Yeah.
Just seemed like the thing to do.
Yeah.
That's what Han Solo would have done.
Shoot first. In regards to the
Aloran.
in-universe and out-of-universe explanations for not killing Aloran, I do think you're right, CJ, that they probably couldn't get away with... Well, once the Visser wasn't in the body and they made the decision to have the body talk and be a person, they couldn't kill it anymore. And I do understand Axe's not wanting to kill him, and I feel like we mostly took issue with sort of like what you were saying about the other characters seeming to disappear in that moment and not be consulted.
I think my issue is just like it's like always dangerous to to get too close to your goal too quickly, even if it's like not truly your goal. It's kind of just like it's not that it's bad or stupid or something, or like it's just frustrating from a standpoint of like, now I have to pretend super hard that they shouldn't have done that. Whereas like, you know, if I'm reading any other series, and like, it's a valid point to be like, they're just kids, blah, 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 this and the other thing. But, you know, reading the series from my perspective and taking the series as seriously as I possibly can. It's just that it's frustrating. It's just that it's like, it's not pleasing to read. It's not pleasing when you're playing D&D and it's like, wow, did we actually almost just kill the big baddie? And then like our DM was like, this campaign was supposed to last 64 more books.
So he gets away now. Yeah, no, it happens in anime a lot too. They loved like the early end of season 1 tease where it seems like not always season 1, but like end of first big arc tease.
They get really close.
Where you're fighting
usually.
the guy you're going to fight at the end, and then they're like, nuh-uh. But usually in anime, it's like revealed that he's way more powerful than you thought he was, and so you just thought you were fighting him. You know what I mean? And he was just playing with you. Like I'm thinking like Aizen in the end of Soul Society arc in Bleach.
But this is also a problem that happens in D&D writ large, where it's like basically by the time you're 6th level, you're so much more powerful than any commoner.
Yeah.
That like you're basically only dealing with other wizards and magicians, so you're just like, you know, and I don't think the Animorphs are like level 6, but like they, you know, they're just not as hardened as, or not as soft as they were when we started.
And when you see them getting better and getting closer and closer and then getting so close and then going back to wacky adventures that don't work, you're sort of like, well, how did we get back here?
Yeah.
Right. Book 9 is the perfect illustration of why it's frustrating, because it's like book 9 would have been fine if it were book 3.
Yeah.
Like it would have been fucking fine. It wouldn't have mattered. Well, actually, no, it wouldn't have, because it suffered from the same problem, which is that they managed to beat Visser 3 by making him stinky.
Yeah. So I think it's the juxtaposition of that in particular. Like when you have books, an ending like book 8 and then book 9 where it almost does the opposite thing where it's like, actually, we just are doing hijinks are the thing at the end of the book. And it's like, you literally just met, they don't even remember that in that moment. So I think it's I think it is just like a pacing thing.
Yeah, nobody went like, hi, Lauren.
Yeah.
Or anything like that.
And I'll say this about book 9 and actually book 10, as much as you're all going to get to hear about how much I love book 10 and how much I enjoyed reading it, it's a filler episode.
10?
Yeah. It introduces a couple things that might be important later, and then, but you sort of...
Yeah, we won't know for a while.
You sort of... But, like, it just has this sense that even the things that got moved along, most of the book was about giving you something fun to do and not advancing the large plot.
It expands the universe, but not... It doesn't move along the primary narrative. Yeah.
Although it does do, there was like, oh no, they threw it into the sea. God, what a stupid book.
Well, don't spoil that here. We can't spoil that here. We'll just beat
Shall
that.
we read the rest of this?
Yeah.
Or was there more that you wanted to hit?
Well, I think I'll just say, I think what we're feeling is like, it feels like these 3 books maybe are a really good example of just growing pains that I feel like would have been growing pains for the series that would have been really hard to avoid. How fast do we move this? In what directions should we build the universe? At what pace should we advance these characters, like emotional arcs and like the practical beats of their arc? Like, I think that's what we're seeing them try to figure it out.
It's crazy that this got done at all. And like they said, that it's as good as it is a miracle and just a testament to their skill.
Yeah.
But I also think that importantly, like especially me, if you hear me, I'll speak for myself, but if you hear me taking exception to something or being flabbergasted at something, it's like pretty evident that it's gotten its hooks deep in me and like I'm here to roll around in it. It's like, just because I'm complaining that they didn't just kill him, I totally agree with you that like I don't want kids killing if we can avoid it. But now
Rachel
all of you out there have but now all of you out there have made me read these horrible, horrible, scary books that keep me up at night. And now I need some place to vent that. And that's why we have this podcast.
Yes, right. Yeah.
And all of you out there is just Eddie and Miranda.
It's just us.
It's just,
Chris, do you want to jump in with this next anyway?
Yeah. Anyway, all of that aside, I'm looking forward to seeing what you think of Cassie's book. In certain fandom circles, she tends to not be very popular or is outright hated. Whoa. But I've always loved her as much as the other characters. Sometimes her books feel almost smaller scale because she thinks about things a lot of the others really don't, like her thoughts about consent and morphing. But I always enjoy those kinds of internal and personal stories myself. And there are a few of her books that are personal as well as fan favorites. I think we 100% agree with that. I think like I'll just cut in here to say whatever's in this next paragraph, we're all like humongous Cassie fans. And I think of the characters has aged the best of like certain, like in terms of just being interesting.
Yeah. In general, though, there are so many upcoming books I'm really looking forward to you guys reading. I don't know how much you've looked at the covers or that of the Chronicles books, but just from looking at them / knowing about them, are there any of those that you're particularly interested in? With how much you like the first Megamorphs, I'm very excited for you all to read the rest. In my opinion, they just get better with each one.
Oh, that's great.
The Starfish?
Starfish, I gotta pull it up and look at it. Andalite Chronicles, Visser Chronicles, I'm very excited for.
Hork-Bajir Chronicles, the way that those two are standing.
I'm just gonna scroll through the covers real quick. Andalite morphing into a cow.
Let's just put that as our let's make that our collective favorite, and then we each have individual favorite, because morphing into a cow is fucking hysterical. That's really amazing.
Do you think that they're going into a slaughterhouse or something? Is that why they're morphing into
an abattoir? I imagine, yes.
Maybe.
Yeah,
obviously so it looks like
when I grow up I'll go to Bovine University.
34 The Prophecy is Cassie morphing into a Hork-Bajir.
Oh, that's sick.
Should have done it sooner. They're just walking weapons.
What if there was a book where it was like Marco morphing into like sassy Marco?
The book 33, The Illusion, the cover is a hawk morphing into an Andalite with a picture of like a translucent Tobias in the background where the moon would be.
Oh, wow. Maybe they can only get him out of the can if they put him in an Andalite.
We have one where Jake, the familiar, Jake seems to be morphing into what I'm guessing is Tom.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Let's round out this email. Let's save some of this for the future.
Okay?
Yeah.
They all look good.
Yeah. This email has gotten long enough. Sorry to make you read so much out loud. Haha. Hope you're enjoying whichever book you're reading now. Book 10. And I'm looking forward to that next episode, CJ. Thank you, CJ.
Thank you.
Thank you, CJ.
So much, CJ.
You always
Yeah,
write the
really,
best
thank
emails.
you. Super thoughtful, so much fun, so great.
Yeah.
And and thank you for being a Patreon supporter.
And we are actually just about to start recording book 10.
That's true.
So
without further ado, I think we'll say until next time, may the Kandrona shine and strengthen you all.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Anidorks. We'll be back soon with lots more to say. Until the Andalites return, or at least until next time. See you soon.